Welcome to the video, guys. Today we are going to be reacting to ranking every pistol in Fortnite history from worst to best. Let's get started, fellas. Let's see if this is any good. Okay, I just gotta do this real quick. Oh, that's the wrong one. Yeah, just gotta. Oh, hooray! And I'm just gonna make my little feet. There you go. Oh, yeah. Now you guys can actually hear the video, but you can also hear me because that.
This channel, we have looked at some of Fortnite's worst pistols and some of Fortnite's best pistols, but today I figured we'd put it all together in one big list and rank every single pistol in Fortnite history from worst to best. I do have to preface that there will be no LTM exclusive pistols on this list, so no exotic flintlock and no dual suppressed pistols. As well as this, different weapon models will still count for the same weapon. So for example, the revolver has its new version and its old version. I'm just going to put that in one spot for the revolver. Same thing with like the regular pistol. Of course, the common through rare version looks different than the purple from legendary version. They'll be in the same spot, as well as the old and new deagle. If you go on to enjoy this video, be sure to leave this video a like and use code TIEFRIES in the Fortnite item shop to help support the content.
Use this code, guys. Go ahead.
That I make here on my YouTube channel. With that all being said, let's get right into it. At our 21st spot on this list, the worst pistol in Fortnite history, it's the Primal pistol. I asked you guys in a community post, what do you guys think is the worst pistol of all time? And the overwhelming majority was the Primal pistol. Be sure to subscribe if you want to participate in those community events that I'll put up every so often. But regardless, this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. These Chapter 2 Season 6 weapons all sucked, and the pistols were no exception. The Primal pistol, for some reason, is a 2-round burst pistol with literally zero accuracy. The bloom is unreal, and the only way this thing is useful is at super close range where the accuracy doesn't necessarily matter and you somehow get lucky enough to hit both shots. This weapon should not need any more explanation. It is the worst pistol of all time. And at a very close second to last, at our 20th spot, is the makeshift revolver. Again, those Chapter 2 Season 6 weapons were just so bad, and the makeshift revolver is a little bit better than the Primal pistol, but not by much. I mean, you could easily switch around the makeshift revolver and the Primal pistol on this list. It really doesn't matter. The makeshift revolver gets a little bit higher for me just because of that ability with one shot to do over 100 headshot. Of course, one-shotting anybody with just base white health and no shield. But again, it was terribly inaccurate, and just like all the other weapons this season, it was so hard to even hit a shot. I'm not going to go on and on about these Chapter 2 Season 6 weapons. Everybody expected them to be in at least the bottom 3 or 4 on this list, so here they are. At our number 19 spot is the 6-shooter. And if you've watched any of my videos specifically about pistols, you know that I am a absolute known hater of the 6-shooter. I just hate this pistol. I just feel like there's such better options. I mean, think about it. When would you ever take a 6-shooter, right? There are some pistols higher up on this list that you can justify taking over, let's say, an SMG or an AR, but the 6-shooter doesn't really fit either. Again, I just don't see a reason why you would ever take this pistol, especially over any of the ones that are higher up on this list.
That you'll pick
I
up
guess if you're
you
really accurate and you have incredible aim, you're able to hit maybe a body shot and a headshot back to back, then you could do over 100 damage. But yeah, again, I don't really have much to say about the 6-shooter. It is one of my least favorite weapons ever, and a weapon that if it came back, honestly, it would be too soon. At our number 18 spot on this list is the scope revolver, and everything I just said about the 6-shooter, you can basically say about the scope revolver. Except for the fact that the scope revolver, it's obviously meant to be used at medium to long range, so if you don't have a sniper, potentially, I guess the scope revolver could suffice. Which is honestly why it gets higher on this list. At least you know what you're getting with the scope revolver. With the 6-shooter, do you use that close range? Do you use that long range? I mean, I don't know. It's got that close fire rate from the hip, but it's accurate at like some medium distances. I don't know. But I do see a world in where the scope revolver can be somewhat useful. Now, do I think anybody was asking for like a 4x scope on a pistol? Absolutely not. But with that being said, if you don't have an assault rifle, you don't have a DMR or a sniper, and you kind of want a long range weapon, the scope revolver could be okay. Very minimal damage fall off, if any. But again, outside of that target use, I don't see why you would ever take the scope revolver. And at the number 17 spot is the Nighthawk, and this is just the exotic thermal scope revolver. And I'll keep it short and sweet here because I literally just talked about the scope revolver. It just gets one spot up because of the thermal scope. The thermal scope is a little bit of a benefit, but not much, which is why it only gets one spot higher. Again, decent damage, great range, but just not very practical in a Fortnite game. At the number 16 spot on our list is the Marksman 6-shooter. And if you wanted to argue that this should be a couple spots lower on this list, list like 14, 13, 12, I think you could actually make that argument. In the right hands, this marksman 6-shooter could be incredible. And if you don't know, this is the exotic version of the 6-shooter, which does 4 times headshot damage. So it is literally just your base regular 6-shooter, but rewards accuracy to an insane amount. If somebody has full health and shield, you can eliminate a player in 2 to 3 shots pending your hitting headshots. But of course, that is a big ask. We all know it is not that easy to just headshot somebody. But we can't ignore the fact that a single headshot can deal up to 96 damage. So if you are in a box with somebody, you get lucky and hit a headshot, that's incredible. That's basically like a shotgun shot. But how many players are there out there that are able to effectively use this weapon? I don't think very many, which is why it gets kind of put down on this list, but I won't deny the fact that this headshot damage is incredible. At our number 15 spot, and you may honestly be surprised it's this high on the list, that's Deadpool's dual hand cannons. And they absolutely did Deadpool so dirty with this weapon. I mean, everybody was so excited in Chapter 2, Season 2 to see what Deadpool's mythic weapon was going to be, and we got these. And in practice, it is a really cool idea. Dual wield, all red and black like the Deadpool camos, and you would get shield back for every time you hit somebody with the weapon. And it's important to emphasize here, this is a mythic weapon. There is only one on the entire map at a highly contested location, that being the yacht, or more specifically Deadpool's yacht, I guess. But Epic Games put out an absolute generational stinker with these pistols. They were awful. And what they did with this pistol is they basically reduced the damage in half from the regular dual pistol. So these Deadpool weapons only do 21 damage a shot as compared to regular dual wield pistols, which are in the low 40s, 42, 43, 44. And they basically justified that huge damage nerf because you would get 3 health or shield per shot hit. But 3 health or shield is nothing. Think about it. You would have to hit 9 shots on somebody to justify getting back what you would get with 1 mini shield. I mean, it's insane to think about, but that's what they did with this weapon. If it was something a little higher, like let's just say even 5 health or shield per shot, it would have been so much better. But I think if you ask anybody if they would rather have these or if they would have just regular dual pistols that do double the damage, but you don't get that health and shield back, I think 90% of players would take the regular dual pistols. Man, I can't believe how dirty they did Deadpool here. At our number 14 spot is the suppressed pistol, and I think this is the first real controversial take on this video. And I need to just say something here. Just because this weapon is in the bottom 50% of pistols, in my opinion, does not mean that it is a bad weapon at all. This is a pretty good pistol. And this is one of Fortnite's core OG weapons. If I remember correctly, I think this might have been one of the first actual legendary weapons. And its Chapter 1 through 3 version is very different from its Chapter 4 version, mainly because that is when it became a fully automatic pistol. Again, it is a really solid pistol. The only thing is the shadow tracker is just so much better. We literally have seen a better version of this exact weapon. So it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth when it came to ranking the suppressed pistol. Again, it is not a bad weapon at all, and a DPS of 195 in the legendary version is absolutely solid. But I just think at this point in the game's history, there are 13 better pistols. And at that number 13 spot is the Hop Rock Dualies. And these are really solid pistols. They do 44 damage a shot and also give you the Hop Rock ability. And as many of you know, that can be used for a multitude of things. I mean, pair it with a shockwave grenade, or it can save you from fall damage. It's great for mobility, or really anything else. So you're probably thinking like, dude, what are you doing putting it this low on the list? And honestly, I don't value the Hop Rock effect that much. And actually, I felt like it hurt me more in gunfights than it helped me. Like, there were a lot of instances where I was in build fights with somebody and I would shoot them, hit them for 44 damage, and then try and jump to take their wall, and I'd go flying off the side of the build because I forgot I had the Hop Rock effect. If it's ever happened to you, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I think on paper, this weapon is a lot better than how it actually plays, and I would honestly just rather have the regular dual pistols over this thing. They are still a very solid and very viable option, though. At our number 12 spot is the combat pistol, and if you forgot that this weapon even existed, I would not blame you, because I did until I did more research for this video. This weapon was added in Chapter 2 Season 8 and vaulted 1 season later in Chapter 3 Season 1, and to my knowledge we have never seen it again. And it launched in quite a weak state, but was later buffed with the damage going from 23, 24, 25, 26, 28 to 23, 25, 26, 27, 29 in those respective rarities, of course. And the reason why it gets higher on this list than something like the suppressed pistol, where it has a very similar DPS, reload time, etc., is mainly mainly due to the accuracy.
Ooh.
This weapon was incredibly accurate, much more accurate than most pistols we've seen on this list, minus like the Marksman 6 shooter. You get what I'm saying. Again, just like most of the pistols I've mentioned so far, these are not weapons that you're going to want to take into the end game with you, but can be pretty solid in that early to mid game. With a high fire rate and tight accuracy, this pistol can be a substitute for assault rifle or even an SMG in some situations. If I remember correctly, it played very similar to how the purple and legendary pistols are from Chapter 2 Season 1 specifically. And with a 2x headshot multiplier, you can actually kill somebody in just 4 shots to the head, with full health and shield of course. And at our number 11 spot on this list, essentially the halfway point, is just the regular pistol. This is one of the core weapons of Fortnite. It launched with the original game 6, 7, 8 years ago, and has basically been in almost every season since in some shape or form. And it's extremely mid, which is why it's in the middle of this list. There are very few times when you would ever take the pistol over some other weapons, but in a quick fight, you just land, find it on the ground, mix a headshot or two in there, you could get some pretty good damage off. As well as this, the purple and legendary versions, if I was ranking those separately, would be in the top 5 for sure. Those weapons are incredible. Of course, I'm referring to the ones from Chapter 2 Season 1, Chapter 2 Season 2, that time frame. But since I'm considering them all in one ranking, I think it deserves to be in this middle of the road spot. And cracking the top 10 here, our number 10 pistol is the sidearm pistol. I feel like honestly this pistol goes forgotten about, but this was the main pistol of Chapter 3. And it actually has a higher DPS in the legendary version than some SMGs do. And the fire rate on this weapon felt much better. If you have a good trigger finger, the sidearm pistol will have a DPS almost on par with some fully auto weapons, especially from Chapter 3. I think this is really the first or second pistol we've seen so far on this list that I think you could take into endgame and actually succeed with. I mean, think about it. At 31 damage a shot in the legendary version, you're basically talking about assault rifle numbers there. And with a headshot multiplier of 2 times, you could be doing some serious damage at 62 damage a headshot. This is a really underrated pistol, and if you wanted to argue that it should be higher here, I could see a world where that happens. And another really hot take here at the number 9 spot is the revolver. Of course, again, this does include the old revolver and the new model revolver. I'm putting them in one spot. And honestly, I actually prefer the old version of the revolver. And in the right hand, this weapon can be absolutely deadly, but other than that, it kind of struggles. If you give an average player, aka me, the revolver, I'm still waiting for the skill issue comments in the comment section, but you aren't really going to be able to do much with this weapon unless you're somebody like, I don't know, Ninja or Moist Critical, for example. Still though, if you are good with this weapon, you are absolutely able to dominate everybody, doing over 110, 120, 130 damage on a headshot. Those are some big boy numbers. It honestly hasn't been in the game in a while, if I remember, and I think it actually should come back. It's a pretty cool weapon. And I think this is a pretty respectable spot on the list for it. At our number 8 spot is the lock-on pistol. And in my community post, there were a lot of people saying this is the best pistol of all time. Absolutely I don't think that that is the case, and let me explain. And of course, this pistol is a lock-on only. You can only shoot it when you are locked on to somebody. And I'm just going to read straight off the Fortnite wiki here to explain this pistol because it's kind of confusing. So if you don't know, the lock-on pistol has a tracking system, right, that's activated once the player starts ADSing. And this tracking system has a max range of 50 meters and puts a blue circle around the player's crosshair. And once the player enters that circle, up to 4 bullets will just charge up and all hit the target when the person fires the weapon. And if you don't know, the 4th bullet of that burst will always be a critical headshot hit. Ooh. And because of that, this pistol actually has the highest DPS of any pistol in the game's history at 375. And maybe in zero build, this is one of the best weapons of all time, and I could definitely see that, but I am not a zero build player. I play builds, and this thing is not great in that game mode. And my problem is it takes time to charge all those 4 shots while aiming down sight. So if you really need to do some damage to somebody in a quick instance, you're not going to use this weapon. What I will say is this weapon really shines against players, especially in the air, because they cannot counter the pistol shots, they can't build, and of course you cannot dodge bullets from this weapon, right? Once you lock on, you're locked on. Also, a lot of people don't know this pistol actually does have glints similar to a sniper, but not as glaring. And I guess just my main problem is that when you are not locked on, this weapon actually sucks. And so you can really understand why this was a tough weapon for me to rank, but I think honestly it is fair to put it within the top 10. And at our number 7 spot is the Ranger pistol, of course, from Chapter 5. Again, there were some people arguing that this should be the best pistol of all time. It's not, but it is a top tier pistol. Also, let me just say something. The gold design on the top is so clean, and in my opinion, it really is just a better version of the sidearm pistol. Good fire rate, 30 damage in a legendary version, and almost 200 DPS is going to get the job done. I also feel like just in general, the entire Chapter 5 loot pool, particularly the weapons, have been a lot weaker weaker than we've seen in previous chapters, which kind of makes it better to use the Ranger pistol. Especially with the ballistic shield, pair these two together, it was absolutely incredible. And at our number 6 spot is the dual pistols. Dualies are really good, and that's because they are a high risk, high reward weapon. I feel like these pistols, as well as most of the other weapons on this list, are really good and best used when paired with something like a shotgun. If you're able to shoot a pump shot, hit him for 100, then pull out the dualies, hit both shots, that's like where this thing really shines. Using it on its own, you might struggle a little bit. Of course, you have that delay between bursts, which kind of sucks, and a noticeably longer reload time than almost every pistol so far on this list at nearly 3 seconds, where most pistols are around a second and a half. But you are trading that reload time for extremely good damage at 44 damage. So if you're accurate, you can really do well here. But another issue here is they only have 18 bullets per clip, so you can only fire 9 bursts before reloading, which if you think about it, isn't that many. But if you are able to do back-to-back headshots, you can be doing what, almost 150, if not more damage, which is just incredible. And at our number 5 spot is the hand cannon, or most of you probably know it as the Deagle. And as I just said in my video yesterday, this weapon has been through a ton. It used to be the best weapon in the game when you could instantly take anybody's wall and destroy any wall in front of you, but it's not quite like that anymore. With that being said though, the Chapter 5 Deagle is still really good, and I like the ability to put attachments on it. And again, this is a high risk, high reward weapon. You could be doing upwards of 170, 180 damage per shot on this thing, but at the cost of a really slow reload speed. The Deagle is one of the most popular weapons, I would say, in Fortnite history, and definitely deserving of a top 5 spot on this list. And I should mention, it is the first weapon on this list that uses heavy bullets. So yeah, Deagle's a beefy boy. At our number 4 spot is the Flintlock. Look, everyone loves the Flintlock pistol. It saves you from fall damage. It knocks people off your builds. It knocks you back. It's a fun weapon, right? But it actually is pretty good. And as you're going to see in my top 5 here, I have a lot of weapons that are hit or miss. Either going to be doing big time, big shots, 150, 160, almost even 2.
Laser beams Flintlock was so much fun. That was like one of the best guns ever.
200 damage in a headshot, but if you miss that shot, you are in big trouble, and the Flintlock is no exception to that. But let's be honest here, most people use the Flintlock for, let's say, mobility or trick shots or saving you from fall damage. You're not really using it for its like pistol damage purposes, but it is still a solid option whether you're looking for mobility, save you from fall damage, or just do damage and use a pistol, so that's why it gets this high on this list. And at our number 3 spot is the Shadow Tracker, and I absolutely think that any of these top 3 pistols, you can make the argument, are the best pistol in Fortnite history. The ability to constantly mark players, not only for yourself but also for your team if you're playing duos, trios, or squads, cannot be understated. It is fully auto, suppressed, and gives you the ability to mark people. I mean, what else do you want from a pistol? This is a weapon that you can absolutely replace your SMG with. Particularly in Chapter 4 Season 3, where you had that super dense, super heavy jungle where it was hard to see people, this pistol was really good. Again, like I said before, fully auto, suppressor, and you get recon. I mean, it gives you everything. It is really well-rounded and an extremely solid pistol. At our number 2 spot on this list is the Tactical Pistol, and this is an underrated weapon. So many people were saying this is the best pistol of all time, but I don't think it quite beats out number 1. With that being said though, the Tactical Pistol is honestly incredible and better than most of the ARs and SMGs in Chapter 4. And honestly, I would take the Tactical Pistol over every single assault rifle in Chapter 4 Season 1, and the only thing that I wouldn't take it over is the Twin Mag SMG. The Mythic Rarity was also extremely strong, and the fact that you had an augment where you could just drop one of these in front of you made it so much better. I honestly can't say it enough. This is an incredible weapon, so underrated and needs to come back. Just great damage, very accurate, very little bloom. It does everything right. It's better than the Shadow Tracker in my opinion, and you can make an argument it should be number 1. But in my opinion, the best pistol of all time is none other than the Mammoth pistol. What a weapon. I mean, what else do I say about this thing? It was obviously really solid on its own, but you could have a super weapon, a pocket shotgun, a pocket sniper whenever you wanted to when you paired it with a couple of really good augments. In the right hand, and I'm going to venture out to say this pistol is not only just the best pistol of all time, but one of the best weapons of all time. Absolutely. At 99 damage with a body shot and make that a headshot, you're doing almost 200 damage with a pistol and a headshot. Think about how insane that is. Of course, that high damage comes at a cost, and that is a very poor fire rate at basically 1, because you have to reload every single time you shoot. And it also uses heavy bullets, so you can very quickly burn through 15, 20, 25 heavy bullets. And it's funny, actually, because as I'm recording this video, it actually just got added back into reload. So if you go into reload and you get destroyed by this thing, remember why I put it at the number 1 spot. It's incredible. You're going to see it everywhere because so many people love using it. I think it's the best pistol of all time. All right, guys, that is my ranking for every single Fortnite pistol of all time. Let me know.
Make sure you guys subscribe to Tyler Fries. Bye.